Joining me now to respond, presidential candidate Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. Welcome back, sir.
No, it's good to see you. And I should say, Sean, the second half of the sentence that didn't make the headline was I said, the Des Moines poll says 41% are undecided. And if that's the case, any of us could win, because that is such a huge swing vote that all of us basically are in the hunt. I think the good news for conservatives tonight is that somewhere between 76 and 79% of the vote is going to go to outsider conservatives, and the only moderate establishment candidate is going to get something like 21 to 23% of the vote. So this will clearly be a victory for conservatism and set the stage for the rest of the primary campaign as a choice between a Massachusetts moderate and a conservative as we work our way through these issues.
Let me ask you about this. You used the term that you had been Romney voted, obviously a reference to the term swift voting that had been used against John Kerry. I asked the governor just moments ago, he's on the program, if he would ask the PAC that is running the negative ads against you to stop them. He made no indication that they would. What is your reaction back to him? Do you think these ads have been unfair? And do you think that maybe you should, go up with your own ads responding?
I'm not going to engage in that kind of petty negativity. I think it demeans politics, it demeans the country, and it's exactly what we don't need in Washington. There's enough hostility and negativity already. All I'll say is that I'll be prepared Wednesday morning in New Hampshire to draw a clear contrast between conservatism and the Romney record, which was to not be for Reagan in the 1980s, to be a Democrat for Paul Tsongas in 1992, when Tsongas was the most liberal candidate, to run to the left of Teddy Kennedy in 1994, which was not an easy thing to do, to describe himself as a moderate running for governor in 2002, to have tax-paid abortion in Romney Care, to have Planned Parenthood written by law into Romney Care as a key decider with no right to life group, by the way. And we'll just go through how wide the gap is between conservatism and the Massachusetts moderate policies that Romney in the real world, not in his campaign speeches or his paid ads, but in the real world, the moderate Massachusetts positions that he has espoused for his entire career.
All right. Am I hearing you right? I kind of hear here a strategical or a tactical shift, and that is that you feel that up to this point you were trying to run a positive campaign, and that now, kind of in Iowa, the gloves are off, and you're going to make comparisons between you and Governor Romney. Is that a fair analysis?
Yeah, I'd rather stay with a comparison between my tax plan, which the Wall Street Journal said Saturday was the best, most aggressive job creation plan available, and the Romney plan, which they described as so timid it could be Obama's plan. I'd rather stick at this level of pure policy. But if the governor and his paid negative ads are determined to engage in biography, I'm going to tell the truth. We're going to have video. We're going to have historic facts. We're going to let people see for themselves. None of this is stuff I described. This is stuff he described. And I think people, let's have a discussion of who's been engaged as a movement conservative since I went to a Goldwater organizing meeting in 1964, and who has been aloof from the conservative movement, refused to sign the contract with America, rejected Reagan and Bush policies, and has been clearly not part of conservatism. And I think over the next few weeks you'll see a much clearer understanding of who Mitt Romney is.
Yeah, I spoke to you earlier today on my radio program, and you said that you thought you probably made a mistake in your handling of the issue of Freddie Mac. And I wanted to give you a chance tonight to explain that.
Yeah, I think after the very first debate, I should have recognized how confusing and how clumsy that was, and I should have come back. J.C. Watts, Congressman J.C. Watts, for 7 years was the head of the Freddie Mac Watch Committee. He has said publicly that I never once approached him at all. Congressman Rick Lazio was the chair of the Housing Subcommittee while I was Speaker. He has said I never once asked him to do anything for them, and in fact, I backed all of his reform ideas. The New York Times reported that the one time I went to the House and talked about Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae to the House Republicans, I told them to vote no, to vote against giving them any kind of money. And the only published article from Freddie Mac, I actually said they needed more regulation. So I think if we had explained that and explained that I didn't get $1,600,000 any more than Mitt Romney got the gross revenue of Bain. I got about $35,000 a year The rest of it went to staff, to offices, to overhead, to all the things a company does. I think when people look at $35,000 a year and they look at strategic advice and they realize my only act as a citizen was to say, don't give them the money, force them to reform themselves, they suddenly have a whole new understanding of that issue. I think that's the ad we should have run about a week ago.
Mr. Speaker, two interesting things that you have said recently. One is you think that Barack Obama should forfeit his salary this year, meaning as president. And another thing is that you would consider Governor Palin possibly to be your running mate. And I wanted to get quick answers on those if I could.
Okay, well, the president's announced, in fact, he's going to campaign all year. He's not going to work with the Congress. He's going to try to govern in a totally unconstitutional way. He's not, if he doesn't want to be president, why is he drawing the salary and doing all the things? I mean, this is a bizarre administration in their recent statements. I think Governor Palin has a lot of talent. There are a lot of things she could do. One of the areas, frankly, is energy. And I could imagine her being considered for a number of places. I don't know that she'd want them. But if you wanted to really open up America's public land and have a chance to really develop energy, I think that would be an area where she'd be enormously effective.
All right, Mr. Speaker, thanks so much for being with us. I'm sure you are probably gratified that the caucuses are finally here and the game is on. Thanks for being with us.
It's going to be very exciting. Thank you.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
The American people create jobs, not government.
Would you reappoint Ben Bernanke?
I would fire him tomorrow. I think the Fed should be audited. I'm not particularly worried about Governor Perry and Governor Romney frightening the American people when President Obama scares them every single day. When I was Speaker, we added 11 million jobs in a bipartisan effort, including welfare reform, the largest capital gain tax cut in history. We balanced the budget for 4 straight years. How would the country feel today at 4.2% unemployment? That's my credential. I'm going to outline a 21st century contract with America. It's going to be far bolder, far deeper, far more profound than what we did in 1994 or what I helped Jack Kemp and Ronald Reagan do in 1980. I am very much in favor of school choice. My personal preference would be to have a Pell Grant for K through 12 so that every parent could pick with their child any school they wanted to send them to. I think unemployment compensation should be tied directly to a training program so that 99 weeks becomes an investment in human capital, giving us the best trained workforce in the world. But I believe it is fundamentally wrong to give people money for 99 weeks for doing nothing. The Congress this year, this next week, ought to repeal the Dodd-Frank bill. They ought to repeal the Sarbanes-Oxley bill. They ought to start creating jobs right now, because for those 14 million Americans, this is a depression now. Well, I'm frankly not interested in your effort to get Republicans fighting each other. I, for one, and I hope all of my friends up here, are going to repudiate every effort of the news media to get Republicans to fight each other to protect Barack Obama, who deserves to be defeated, and all of us are committed as a team. Whoever the nominee is, we are all for defeating Barack Obama. Nothing will turn America around more than election night when Barack Obama loses decisively.